Hey everyone, and welcome back. If you are new here, then hello, my name is Zoe and this is my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be 5 steps slash 5 tips on how to get the most flawless foundation. It's going to help you avoid any cakiness and just get that really nice full coverage flawless base. So step 1 is prepping the skin first. So we always need to prep our skin before foundation, especially if we are going to be applying like more of a full coverage base as well. If we just apply foundation and concealer and things straight onto our skin with nothing else on there, it's not going to apply very well and it's not going to adhere like stick very well to the skin either. So we're going to be applying moisturizer and things first. You can also apply your primer at this point as well. I don't personally use primers that often, but this is the steps that we need to do first. We need to make sure that we've got a nice like soft canvas for our foundation to sit on, and it will apply so much better once we've applied our moisturizers. So the first one that I'm going to apply is the La Roche-Posay Toleriane Ultra Cream. This is such a lovely moisturiser. I do also love the Ultra Fluid as well. And it's going to keep my skin nice and moisturised. I'm not going to get any dry patches throughout the day. And then the next product, which I'm also going to use as a primer, but I don't apply this as a primer, I just really like it as a moisturiser. This is the NYX The Marshmallow Primer, and a little bit goes a really long way. So I just do like half a pump. And I tried this for the first time the other day and I actually really like it. So I'm just applying it in the centre, working my way outwards. So this is going to keep my skin nice and hydrated throughout the day now, and my foundation is going to apply so much better over the top. And you can see how nice and fresh and glowy it's looking as well. Okay, step number 2 is how we apply the foundation. We're going to layer and build this up slowly. So instead of going in with a huge amount, applying it all over the skin, it's going to take so long to blend in and it's going to sit on top of the skin more. Whereas if we lay it up and build it up, we can take our time, really pushing it into the skin and building up the coverage that way, and it will be a lot more flawless and a lot more long lasting as well. So for foundation today, I'm using the Maybelline Superstay. I absolutely love this. This is in the shade Warm Sun, and I did tan this week, so I'm hoping that this shade matches me. So I'm going to take my beauty blender because that's how I prefer to apply foundation, and I'm taking a small amount and I'm going to start in the centre because that's where I need the most coverage, and then I'm going to start blending it out to the edges. So always remember, with makeup it's easier to build up and apply more than it is to take any away. So really take your time if you want that really flawless foundation and that really flawless base. Really take your time and pushing it into the skin so it becomes part of the skin. The moisturiser underneath is going to help do this as well. And even if you're using a brush to apply it, or even your fingers, still really take your time and really pushing it into the skin. I'd say that this step 2 is the most important out of the 5 steps. Okay, so that's like a medium coverage to me. I'm going to go in and build it up even more, but because I'm taking time to build it up, I can keep on adding layer and layer without it looking too thick and heavy. Okay, so we're going to move on concealer. Again, we're still on step 2, so with all your cream products, again, layer them and work slowly and build them up, and that way you'll just get such an amazing finish. So I'm going to start with my Tarte Shape Tape. This is in light medium sand. This is more of like a yellowish undertone, and I'm using just a tiny bit to start with. This is just going to help cancel out any of my redness. So that's all I'm using to start with, and then we can build up slowly, especially in the under eye area as well. The skin is the most thin there, so putting in a lot of product under your eyes can start to look cakey quite quickly. So again, just keep on tapping and keep on pushing it into the skin. Okay, so that is my first concealer blended in. I'm just going to use a little bit of a lighter one now to highlight. So this is Fairlight Neutral. If I go in with too much of the highlighter shade, then it's not going to really cover what I want it to, and it just means applying a hell of a lot of the lighter one, and I like my under eyes that bright, but not too bright, so only very like subtly bright, which is why I like to mix the two together, because it means I don't have to apply as much product then. So I use the first one to kind of conceal what I need to, and then the second one to just brighten it slightly. You can see it just makes it a little bit lighter. Okay, so we're still on layering all our creams together. I'm going to be using my Beautiful Bronze Contour to contour, only with a light hand because we don't want to start moving anything around, but because we're using all of our creams first, obviously we can just keep adding base products where we need them until we've got the result that we want. So just taking my time, starting just slowly at first, and then we can build it up. If you apply too much at the start, then you kind of have to work more with the brush to start blending it in, and then that's when we can start moving all the product underneath around. So after we've worked so hard to push the foundation into the skin, we don't want to then start disturbing it and pulling it up. So again, just little bits at a time. Okay, and then going back in and just pushing all of those products together, making sure that they're all blended nicely. Step number 3 is set before you bake. So instead of going in with quite heavy powder straight away, we're going to set the areas first, and then we're going to apply a little bit of extra powder for baking. So if we went straight in with a lot of powder onto like quite a wet base, sometimes it can become a little bit cakey and a little bit clinky in certain areas. But if we take that tackiness away first and then apply the baking powder, the finish is just so much nicer. The powder that I'm going to be using today is the Nye Cameo Powder. I absolutely love this. I also like the Laura Mercier Translucent Powder, and I also like the RCMA No Colour Powder as well. And I'm just going to blend that under my eye. I just take that tackiness away and just kind of set it in place first. Again on my chin, because I always become oily there anyway. And any extra, just kind of tap around the perimeter. I don't always set the perimeter of my face because I find, because I am more dry, when I apply my bronzers and things like that, it kind of sets those areas for extra powder. So now we can go in with our baking powder. So I'm using the same powder but just a little bit more, and I'm just going to let it soak into the skin as much as it can, definitely around my chin. This will, for one, make the skin look like an actual filter. It looks so smooth already. 2, it's also going to help make sure everywhere is super set. So I'm going to let that sit there for not very long, like maybe like 30 seconds to a minute, because I am more on the dry side. But if you are a bit more oily, you can leave this on for a little bit longer. Okay, so I've only left this on for like less than a minute because I don't need to leave it on that long. So I'm literally just dusting off any excess. And if you could see my skin now close up, you would see how smooth, how full coverage, how flawless it looks. But it doesn't look cakey, it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. It looks amazing. So now we can move on to step 4. So step 4 is being very light-handed with your powders that we're going to apply next. So I'm going to show you how I apply my powders over the top, and I barely touch the skin. I don't want to disturb any of this that we've already done, all the hard work we've already put in. So I'm going to start with my bronzer. This is the Makeup Revolution Mega Bronzer in Warm, and just taking off like any excess, and I pat it onto the skin rather than starting to sweep it around. And I think this is like one of the key things to really keeping your base flawless, full coverage, not moving anything around. This is also going to help set the perimeter of the face as well if you don't like to use setting powder all over. And just being really soft and gentle with your brushes at this point is just so key. So I'm not swirling it around, pressing it on, just tapping it on lightly onto the skin. So pretty. And then again with blush as well, I do exactly the same thing. So I'm just using this from Illamasqua. This is in Lover. And again, pressing it onto the skin rather than sweeping everything about. I've just added a quick lip before we move on to our final step and step 5, which is setting this in place. So because we've used quite a lot of powders as well, over quite a lot of foundation, we want to make sure that this is not going to move because it looks amazing now, so we want it to last that way as well. So I'm going to spray myself with a lot of setting spray. This is going to melt all the powders together, make everything become as one, and it's not going to move all day. So I'm using the Fix Plus. I really like the Urban Decay setting sprays as well. Want it to dry as fast as we can, and then after that, with that sponge, I'm just going to go over the whole face, and the finish of this now is going to look amazing. So I can definitely say we're very full coverage, we're very flawless, and I just absolutely love the finish. So those are my 5 steps and my 5 tips on how to get the most flawless full coverage finish. I really hope you did enjoy today's video. Let me know if you want to see more like these down in the comments. Please give it a big thumbs up as well, and don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week in my next one. Bye!